My name's Riley, and I'm legally blind. Not completely, I can see shapes, light, motion, but I use a guide dog. His name's Theo. He's a big yellow lab with the calmest energy you'll ever meet. This happened February 2023, outside a supermarket in Eugene, Oregon. It was the middle of the day, people everywhere. And somehow, I still knew something was wrong. That day, we were just grabbing a few things. Snacks, paper towels, nothing major. We'd done this 100 times before. Everything was normal inside. Store was crowded, but Theo handled it like a pro. I checked out, thanked the cashier, and we started heading toward the doors. Right before we reached the exit, Theo slowed down. Did this little pause he does when someone's blocking the path. I angled my body a bit to step around whatever it was. Then I heard it. A foot scuff, a heavy breath, then bam! It was like the world exploded sideways. 1 second I'm upright, the next. My head smacks the concrete, ears ringing. The cart tipping over beside me. I didn't even hear Theo bark, but I felt him pushing against me. I heard someone scream. Another person yelled, "What the hell, man?" Then footsteps running. A few seconds later, I felt hands on my shoulder. A woman's voice, panicked. "You okay?" "Stay still." Someone called 911. My face was throbbing, my nose bleeding. Vision worse than usual, just a swirl of light and shapes. But I knew I'd just been hit, hard, and not by accident. The cops showed up quick. They asked if I'd seen anything. I told them no, obviously, but others had. And get this. The guy had been standing outside for almost 20 minutes, just watching, waiting for me. Witnesses said he was pacing by the carts, kept checking his phone. He didn't grab a basket. He didn't go inside. And when he saw me coming out with Theo right next to me, he walked up like he was going to say something. Then sucker punched me out of nowhere. No warning, no words, just full force. Security footage caught most of it. But the guy wore a hoodie and a face mask. Facial recognition was useless. He disappeared down an alley before the cops even showed up. So now I'm sitting in an ambulance, holding a cold pack to my cheek. I'm trying to answer questions with a towel stuffed under my nose to stop the bleeding. Theo is whimpering, his harness crooked from the fall. I reach over and feel the top of his head. He's okay. He's alert, still watching. A couple days later, I heard my phone buzz, and VoiceOver read out a notification. New direct message. Just one line. Your dog's not always going to save you. I nearly dropped the phone. I blocked the account, then spent the next 2 hours replaying everything over and over in my head. Who the hell was that? Why me? Why wait for me? I told the detective about the message. They logged it, but that's about it. Said unless there was a direct threat, they couldn't do much. Classic. Then came another buzz, a new message, a different account. Next time, you won't see me coming either. I installed cameras. The front porch, back fence, even one pointed at the dog run. I didn't sleep much after that. Theo started sleeping closer to the door. He'd growl sometimes, like he could sense something outside that I couldn't. I stopped going to that store. I started ordering groceries instead. Only left the house in the daylight, when I had to. Even then, I kept my head down, my back to the wall, Theo by my side. Eventually, the messages stopped. Weeks went by, then months. Still no arrest, no leads. But I still feel it sometimes. That sixth sense, like eyes on me when I'm crossing a parking lot, or waiting at the corner for the crosswalk to chirp. I don't know who he was, why he did it, or what his deal was with me or my dog. But I do know this. Someone like that doesn't just disappear. They wait, they watch. They pick a target and test the boundaries. So if you ever get that feeling, that hair on the back of your neck kind of feeling, don't ignore it. Because sometimes the scariest monsters don't come from the shadows. They come from the sidewalk, the parking lot, the grocery store. And they wait for the moment you least expect them. You're listening to Scary Stories Outpost. Stay alert, stay safe. You never know who's already picked you. You ever get that feeling like someone's walking right behind you, but when you turn around, nothing? I used to think that was just anxiety until this happened. My name's Marissa. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and this happened in February of 2023. At the time, I didn't have a car, so I used the city bus to work, to the gym, and even grocery runs. Same stops and routes, same times pretty much. It's kind of comforting how predictable it is, or it was. First time I noticed him, I was at the Glenwood and Marlow stop. A cold morning, my hoodie up, my earbuds in. I was sipping a gas station coffee, scrolling my phone when I got that feeling I was being watched. I looked up, just barely. There was a guy, maybe the 40s, a tan jacket, hood halfway up, standing under the little shelter across the street. He wasn't looking at me, but I could feel it. The bus came. I got on and didn't think twice. 2 days later, I'm in a different part of town, at the Lake Boone Trail stop near the Target. There he was again, the same tan jacket. I froze mid-step. He didn't get on the bus. He didn't move. I tried to brush it off. It's a big city, people overlap, right? Next week he showed up again, at the Capitol and Millbrook stop. It was like clockwork. He was already there when I walked up, looking down at his phone. Wasn't scrolling. Wasn't looking at anything. Just held it still. I crossed the street and waited at a different stop. He didn't follow. He didn't get on the bus. Just watched it pull away. At this point, I started taking notes. I pulled up the Notes app and logged every time I saw him. February 9th, Glenwood and Marlow. February 11th, Lake Boone Trail. February 16th, Capitol and Millbrook. February 20th, Jones Franklin Road. No overlap. Different days, different neighborhoods. But he was always there, and never once got on the bus. That's when I started changing routes. I started using side streets, skipping rides completely. But somehow, he'd still find the stop I used next. One day after work, I stayed late, just to avoid him. I got dinner with a coworker, hung out for a bit, didn't leave till almost 9:30. I'm standing at the Durant and Perry Creek stop, phone in one hand, pepper spray in the other. All clear. Until I heard someone cough just down the block. He was leaning against a tree, just standing there, waiting. Luckily, the bus came. I got on FAST. The driver gave me a worried look. I told her I thought I was being followed. She proceeded to shut the doors immediately. As we pulled off, I turned to look. He was just standing there. No expression. Still watching. I reported it to the city bus service the next day. They said they'd look into it. I filed a report with Raleigh PD. They were polite, but not hopeful. I mean, let's be honest. I knew there wasn't much they could do. But I wanted this on record. So I changed it up. I started getting rides from friends. Took an Uber when I could. Weeks went by and no more sightings. I started to feel normal again. Until one night, I'm walking home from my friend Leslie's. She only lives 6 blocks from me, and it was a warm night, so I figured, why not? Halfway down my street, I saw a car parked 2 houses down from mine. A tan Ford Focus. No plates, their lights off, the engine running. I walked slower, gripping my keys between my fingers. And as I passed it, the interior light flicked on for half a second, just enough to see him in the driver's seat. I sprinted to my house, fumbling the keys as I rushed to get inside. I locked every deadbolt, closed every curtain. I called the cops. They came quick this time, but of course. By then, he was gone. I showed them everything. The notes, the times, even a blurry pic I managed to snap through the bus window once. They finally took it seriously. They patrolled for 2 weeks, checked nearby surveillance, set alerts on local buses, but nothing. No name. No ID. That was last year. I've since moved to Charlotte. I got a new job, a new apartment. I don't take the bus anymore. But I still look over my shoulder, still double lock the door, and every now and then, I'll see someone in a crowd, someone tall in a tan jacket, and I'll feel that old familiar chill. You're listening to Scary Stories Outpost. Remember, some strangers don't say a word. They just follow you till you run out of places to hide. I don't talk about that year much anymore. People tend to look at you differently when they find out you used to live in one of those transitional housing complexes. The ones for people rebuilding their lives. Ours was called The Haven. Nice name, right? Except there was nothing safe about that place. I ended up there after things fell apart. Job loss, medical bills, the usual story. I wasn't homeless, not technically, just one missed paycheck away from it. The Haven took people like me, people trying to get back on their feet. The complex sat off a frontage road outside Tempe, next to a storage yard and a half-abandoned strip mall. It was run by a non-profit that prided itself on giving second chances. That's what my roommate used to say too. We're all just one bad week from ending up here. His name was Caleb. Caleb had been there longer than most, almost a year. He was older than me by maybe 10 years. He was tall, quiet, with that rough sunburned face that looks carved out of the desert itself. He kept to himself, always reading those beat-up paperbacks from the donation bin. At first, I didn't mind him. He was polite and clean enough. But after a few weeks, I started noticing little things, like how he'd wake up before dawn and just sit in the dark, motionless on the edge of his bed. Or how he'd keep a notebook on the kitchen counter, scribbling things down in tiny handwriting whenever someone walked by outside. When I asked what he was writing, he said, "Just keeping track." "Of what?" I asked. He smiled. "Patterns." The Haven had thin walls. You could hear everything, arguments, crying, coughing fits. But some nights, it was worse. I'd wake up to noises in the hallway. Slow footsteps, the creak of doors opening. Sometimes, someone would knock on random units, then walk away before anyone answered. We'd complain, but the night staff barely cared. "That's just the residents checking on each other," they said. "Community support." Caleb didn't believe that. They come for people who don't belong, he told me once. You'll see. I laughed it off, but something about the way he said it, flat and certain, stuck with me. One night, around 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of Caleb whispering. I thought he was on the phone, but when I sat up, I realized he was talking to himself. His voice was low, fast, like he was reciting something. I crept to the doorway between our rooms and listened. He was kneeling beside his bed, notebook open, whispering as he drew circles and lines across the pages. Every few seconds, he'd glance at the door. When I finally spoke, he froze. Then he looked up, smiled like nothing was wrong, and said, "They're trying to get in tonight. I'm keeping them out." The next morning, he acted normal. Cooked eggs, asked about my shift. I wanted to believe it was just stress or meds. But when I came home from work that evening, something was different. The notebook was gone, and every mirror in the apartment, bathroom, closet door, even the cheap one by the kitchen, was covered with newspaper. I stood there for a long time, staring at my own reflection warped behind the paper seams. When Caleb came in, he saw me looking and said, "You don't want them using your reflection. That's how they find you." That was it. That was my breaking point. I told the manager I wanted a room transfer. They said it'd take a week. I figured I could make it until then. But I was wrong. That last night, the air felt wrong. I came home late, maybe close to midnight. Caleb wasn't in the living room, but the TV was on, static hissing across the screen. There was something on the floor near the couch. His notebook was wide open. The pages were filled with drawings, circles within circles, faces half sketched and scratched out. In the middle of one page, in shaky handwriting, it said, "He's next." Before I could even process what that meant, I heard movement behind me. The floor creaked. I turned. Caleb was standing in the hallway, shirtless, his eyes wide and glassy. "You shouldn't have touched it," he said. "Caleb, what the hell?" He stepped closer, raising something from his side. At first, I thought it was a tool, maybe a wrench. But then I saw the handle. It was a knife. Everything after that happened too fast to make sense. He lunged. I stumbled back, hit the coffee table. I felt the sting of the blade graze my arm as I tried to block him. I grabbed the nearest thing, an empty beer bottle, and swung. I hit him in the face, hard. He fell back, hitting the floor with a dull thud. I ran out the door, barefoot, bleeding, screaming for help. The night manager came running, then the sirens, then the flood of red and blue lights reflecting off the glass doors of the Haven. When the police went in, Caleb was gone. They found the knife, the blood, the notebook, but not him. He turned up the next morning in the desert half a mile away, walking barefoot along the frontage road, calm and silent like he'd just gone for a stroll. They said he didn't resist arrest, just looked at the officers and said he wasn't supposed to leave. They charged him with attempted murder. Then later, something worse. The unit next door, room 208, was empty when they searched it. But they found stains on the carpet. Blood, old and dark. DNA matched to a resident who'd gone missing 3 weeks earlier. They said Caleb had been living there with him before me. No one knew, or maybe no one cared. The non-profit kept it quiet, of course. Told the press it was an isolated tragedy. But everyone at the Haven knew better. Some of the residents still whisper about him. They say he talked to people no one else could see, that he believed the complex itself was watching him, testing him, that he killed to keep the pattern intact. I moved out after the investigation. I got a new job, a small place in Mesa. Tried to start over again. But sometimes, when the power cuts out or the lights flicker, I catch myself thinking about those nights. About the footsteps in the hallway, the knocking that never had anyone on the other side. I'm just glad I was able to get away and see another day.